Hello and welcome back to KSP Real Solar System campaign. Today we are launching our mission to land an unmanned probe on the moon. If we can accomplish that, we'll be one step closer to realizing our ultimate goal of putting a kerbal on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth. The rocket that will carry this mission out has a few features that I want to talk about. The first stage is yet again burning kerosene and liquid oxygen for fuel, but we now have access to the mighty F1 engine that was used on the first stage of the Saturn V. Now bear in mind that the Saturn V used 5 of those engines, whereas we are only using 1. And the F1 engine is by far the most powerful engine we have access to. It has about 8 times the thrust of our second most powerful engine. And the second stage is a pretty standard hydrolox stage with some decent delta V and efficiency. And it is kind of a stage you've seen many times before on my rockets. Now the third stage is a bit more interesting, because here we have another piece of equipment from the Saturn V, the J2 engine. The Saturn V had 5 J2 engines in its second stage and 1 in the third stage. The J2 is probably my favorite engine of the ones we have access to, because unlike most engines we have, the J2's only weakness is poor performance in the atmosphere, like all hydrolox engines. The benefit of the J2 engine though is that it has great thrust, great efficiency, and most importantly multiple ignitions. Most engines tend to have either great thrust and efficiency with just 1 ignitions, or they have multiple ignitions, maybe infinitely many ignitions, but with either poor thrust or poor efficiency, or in the worst case, poor thrust and poor efficiency. So all we need to do now is try to put down a maneuver node and see if we can't navigate our way to the moon. Need to set it as target and create a maneuver node right here. Oh, come on now. So let's have a look. Let's see if we can't. Oh, there we go. That's a pretty nice encounter right away. We're pretty much right on the moon. I just need to. Let's see. We can't get any closer. I want to go into a low orbit around the moon to begin with. Have a low parking orbit of maybe 50 kilometers or so in a circular orbit, and then we can do some planning from there. So the burn node is going to be 22 minutes out. And get ready to fire the engine. And there we go. Another ignition on the third stage engine. We're just going to burn for about a minute now, so it should be pretty straightforward from here. Now let's talk about the probe itself. The main design problem I had with the final probe is that I'm using the Asteris engine on this, which is a great engine for a lot of things. But the problem is that it is not an ideal engine for landing a spacecraft. The problem with the Asteris engine is that it can't be throttled, unlike, say, the Lunar Module Descent engine. But the Lunar Module Descent engine only has 3 ignitions. I think we're going to get the encounter any minute now, so gotta be ready with the cutoff. Oh, well, the engine burned out, so that's kind of a cutoff too. Yeah. Just gotta fire that up. Going to cancel the maneuver node. Let's see. I'm not that confident that this is going to work out, actually. How close am I actually going to get? Might have to make some major adjustments, I think. to the... Let's see. Okay, so... Yeah, because we're a bit late in the burn, we're gonna have to make some adjustments to counter that. Because we're not getting the close approach that we really wanted. So... we can do some... No. I'm just going to experiment a bit with the maneuver nodes. We can do it like this. I'm going to have to burn some extra fuel to correct for my mistakes. But we are getting there. We have to burn a couple of hundred meters per second of delta V, more than I really would have liked to, but that is what happens sometimes, you know. Not everything goes to plan. Still, I think we have more than enough delta V to compensate for that. And we successfully completed our correction burns, but we had to spend some delta V doing it, unfortunately. But we'll carry on the mission. We are within the sphere of influence of the moon right now, but I want to adjust the orbit maybe. I want to go for more of an equatorial orbit. I don't think I'm gonna have to burn off too much delta V to get that sorted out. Okay, so we're going to make another small course correction. It's going to cost us 90 meters per second of delta V, but I think we can afford that. Still got 3.8 kilometers per second, so it should be enough really. So we do have a bit of a problem here, because you can see that our trajectory passes over the dark side of the moon, or the periapsis is on the dark side of the moon, which means that while we're passing behind the moon we won't have any contact with the Earth, but that is where this probe comes in. The Progress 3 will have, well, I think that should have contact with us while we're passing behind the moon, so this satellite is actually going to save us. It's a good thing we put that derelict probe in orbit around the moon as a communication satellite. So just gonna do it like that. And now we need to switch over to the Progress 3 and make sure that one of its spare antennas has contact with our probe. So if you activate this and point it to the, well, our newest probe is the Progress 6. Just approaching the orbital insertion burn nodes right now. We're going to have to burn 823 meters per second of delta V to go into lunar orbit. I'm not going to make that out in the head, but I think we're going to start the burn when we are about 3 minutes away from the actual node. This doesn't have to be too exact, it just has to be good enough. So we can start our burn right now, and it's going to burn for a little over 4 minutes, so that's not too bad. Though we're a bit early in timing wise, but yep, we are just going to burn until we have a nice orbit. You can see that we have achieved orbit right now. We just need to lower our periapse down. No, our apoapse, sorry, which is at 10 million kilometers. So that should take a little bit, too much, so we need 400 meters per second more now. And you can look at our orbital velocity is at 2 kilometers per second. And we have over 3 kilometers per second left in the tank. The real challenge is going to be how we are going to land with an engine that can't be throttled. That's a real problem. Because we just have to do quick bursts with the main engine that is quite powerful relative to the spacecraft. I mean, you can see the thrust to weight ratio at the moment is 2.5, and we're going to have to land with that kind of thrust. Not to mention that we might have ullage problems as well when we're landing, so we're going to have to fire the RCS while we are constantly turning on and off our engine. The final descent burn is over now, so I'm just going to switch control back to the Earth. So that means we're going to be with no connection for a little bit, but once it gets over here again, once we pass over and see the Earth rise, that is. There we go, now we have connection back. So we're just at least going to get back over here again. We're going to start the burn pretty soon, I think, because I do at least want to land in the light. So we are at 22 kilometers right now of altitude above the moon. Let's see this. Now, I may have started my burn a bit early, but I think we have enough delta V in this to afford that kind of waste. So you can see that our horizontal velocity is really starting to decline now. We still have quite a bit of vertical velocity though, as you can see that we're almost falling straight down right now. So I'm gonna kill the engine there and assess the situation for a little bit. So I'm just going to always be burning my RCS. There is a reason I have so much RCS fuel on this thing. I am so reliant on the RCS here, because if I don't fire those RCS thrusters, I'm not going to be able to restart the engine. And that's one of the problems that I'm facing here, or really the main problem, apart from the fact that once we start getting really close to the ground, it's going to be really tough to actually do a nice touchdown. But it does look like this is going pretty well. I have to... Oh. Yep, I'm gonna change the camera a little bit. So we're getting close to the ground now. Just going to go and do this quick bursts with the engine to try to make as soft landing as possible. And there we go! Oh my, that is absolutely fantastic! That was pretty much a perfect landing. I mean, my goodness. I almost can't believe that. And that is legitimately the first attempt I made at this. I just need to savor this moment for a little bit. Absolutely brilliant. Back at the Space Center now, and as you can see, we didn't get as much science out of this as we did with the Venus mission, but it's still pretty good. Got 261, and that of course means we have enough to unlock the next level of capsules. Gonna go. But that will be it for this episode. This again was You know, I was pretty nervous before going to do this mission. I didn't think I was actually going to succeed in landing on the moon in the first attempt as well. So, but yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you will enjoy my future videos as well. So, take care and bye.